Hello, dear soul. You're interested in developing yourself, in exploring yourself, in growing and maturing, in recognizing who you are as a human being, as a soul, and expanding your consciousness, right? But at the same time, you notice you always stumble across the same blocks or across the same thought patterns or across the same limitations. And we're going to address this today, and I'm going to show you why that is and how you can move beyond it so that your growth can speed up and become easier. Now, the thing is that a lot of people take the whole personal development field or spiritual development, they treat it a little bit like a hobby. And maybe you've heard this before. It's like they do courses, they do seminars, they talk to people, they meditate even, but it's almost like it is something to do and is something they're interested in, which is fair enough, but like interested in like a hobby, like an area of interest, but it doesn't sink in completely. It's not like, you see, as with everything, when we acquire knowledge and information, that's one part of the equation, but the second part of it is always implementing it and putting it into practice, living it. And so what I mean is, by many people use this like a hobby or treat it like a hobby, is like they love the inspiration from it. They love to listen to stuff on Gaia or on like any documentaries or YouTube videos or gurus, or they like to go to readers, they like to do seminars and courses themselves for personal development. But it is like nearly an addictive behavior, because every time they do this, they watch something, they read something, they listen to something, talk about it, they get this rush and it's like, oh yes, and this is so great, but then it wears off very quickly and they need the next inspirational bit. They are looking for the next course to do, and it's like, yeah, I have done this, but this has not given me what I need. And then it's like 10 years later, I'm fast forwarding here, 10 years later, and they're still doing courses and seminars and retreats and meditation classes and yoga and whatnot, and it's still like, yeah, but this was good and it was nearly as good as that one, but it still didn't give me what I wanted. And I'm telling you now why that is, because you're still, if that's you, right, totally okay, but you're still looking for what you're looking for on the outside. Even though it seems like you're working internally, it is still a way of distracting yourself from the real work with you, from the real, I don't even want to say work, because that is even off-putting to a lot of people, because it has a negative connotation in terms of its effort and it's maybe not something we like to do. That's kind of what a lot of people associate with the word work. So, but dealing with what is inside of you and not what is coming outside, from outside, as an inspirational thing. And so, and this is also why when you are in this cycle and in this trap, you might go forward a little bit, but not to the extent where you're satisfied. And this is why you're constantly looking for more. And this is what keeps you dependent. It keeps you dependent on the outside sources for inspiration and for input and motivation for you to keep going. And this is not empowering. It's the opposite of empowering. And so whenever something is disempowering, you know, it's the wrong track. Because everything that is in alignment with you is also empowering. It is always, always it has always your interest, or is always in your interest, in the interest of empowerment, of strengthening yourself, your bond with yourself, your bond with the higher consciousness, with the greater consciousness. And so if something keeps you dependent and in ties, it's not freedom and it's not empowering. Nevertheless, it can help you through some periods of life, like that might be fair enough. But if you really want to explore who you are and what life is about, what your purpose is, why you're here, and so on, this is not going to get you to there. It's not going to help you achieve this. Okay? So how are you going to achieve it? Yes, take your inspiration, but then whatever you learn, whatever you encounter as a truth, whatever you recognize as truth for you, whatever you discover, take this and really don't just go, oh yeah, discover that, notice that, recognize that, learn that, next. Take this and really study it, as in meditate on it or contemplate it, think about it, feel about it. And the more you do this, the more you allow it to integrate, so that it's not just a piece of knowledge that you heard somewhere, and when you're in a discussion with somebody you say, oh yes, I did a course on da 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 and such was said. Or it's more like you take this in, if it's truth for you, and you integrate it. But it also means whatever you learn means it causes some change within you, which means in your day-to-day life there should be some consequence to what you're acquiring. There should be some change in behavior, some change in thinking, in feeling, in dealing with the world, viewing the world, dealing with other people, your attitude, your approach, your values, your ethics, whatever it is. There should be a change if it's any good, what you have taken in. There is no point in knowing all these things that are out there if you don't do anything with them. Because then it's just something that you've heard somewhere, that you've read somewhere, and no one benefits from this. Like, you might bring it up in a conversation, but that's that. No one benefits from it, including you, if you don't allow yourself to benefit from it. So the pathway to expanding your consciousness is to take whatever you learn and whatever you come across and really take the bigger portion of time, if you want to say it that way, to integrate it. Not to study more and more and more, learn more, do more, meet more people, talk more about it, listen and read more about it. Yes, see what's there, feel what's there, listen, read, watch, but then do something with it, as in take it in and become the version that is richer with that piece of knowledge, with that puzzle piece that helps you to open up more, to be more aware, to be more conscious, to be more present, to be more you. There is no point in saying, yes, I know we're eternal souls and we come here with a life purpose or many life purposes, and we have chosen our soul families and the circumstances. Yes, I know all that. And then you go and live your day-to-day life on autopilot. And every now and then you remind yourself, yes, I know. And when you speak to a spiritual person or to an awake person or aware person, you have this conversation. But in your day-to-day life, you're not representing that. You're not living it. You're not feeling it. You're not going through your day with your day-to-day stuff thinking, I am an eternal soul in this body or around this body or with this body. You go live your life as in, okay, I cook, I eat, I work, I make music and play sports and talk to people as me, but I don't do it from this consciousness level of I'm an eternal soul. Because if you live like I'm an eternal soul, just here on a brief visit, this is my brief adventure on earth to fulfill certain objectives or certain purposes that I came here to experience or to do. If you don't live by that, then it's just all unconscious. It's nearly like wasted. What's the point in theoretically knowing or mentally knowing that you're an eternal soul if this knowledge does not drop down? And this is always what I see this huge drop when I talk about these things, this huge drop down into your heart center, into your very core, and even around you into your energy field, and then penetrating this energy field with this vibration of eternity, eternal awareness, eternal consciousness. That's my dog. Eternal consciousness. If we don't, and this is just one piece that you can be aware of. There's lots of things that we acquire when we treat this like a hobby, and then we don't do anything with it. But if you do, you transform yourself. You become more and more who you really are, and you transform your life. And this is really what everybody who is in this field really wants generally and is looking for. But you keep preventing yourself by constantly looking to the outside for the next best thing, for something that makes you feel better and that makes you feel more complete or more skilled or more wise or more educated. But that's not what will serve you. What will serve you is if whatever it is you learn as your truth, you integrate, and then you embody and you live from this new state of awareness. And then you can see what else is being inspired to be brought to you by the universe from that next state, that next level of consciousness, that next state of awareness. And things will be brought to you then again that are there for you to be investigated and to be included into your consciousness. So I hope that this helps you to identify where you stand on that scale and what you can do to increase your speed of development. There is no rush, obviously, but to increase this and also to make it easier, the development easier, if you focus on that, if you focus on the integrational bit and not the acquiring bit. And that way also it becomes a way of living and not just a way of doing something, of practicing spirituality or practicing self-growth. Or, it becomes a way of being. And this is what it's all about. It's always about who you are, because we don't manifest what we want, we manifest who we are. And also we don't live as who we want to be or what we want to be, but who and what we are in this present moment. And if we recognize that this is the most important bit about everything, then it is well worth looking at it, meditating on it, or contemplating, focusing on you as the point of attraction for everything, you as the be-all and end-all of everything that comes into your life experience. I'm going to love you and leave you for today, and we'll talk again next time if you want to.